Heyo.
Heyo.
Hi.
We're here.
Fuck. This movie.
Are the
I
mics on?
almost interjected.
Interject. Interject
I
away.
know. I almost finished the thought. I thought that you.
Yeah, it was coming. If I wouldn't have spit it out, you're saying it was
It was. Yeah.
possibly going to be.
One more second.
One more second.
Typical mic
Gotta get the timing
Dustin.
of that pause down.
But yeah, fuck this movie. Here we are again. Another episode, podcast. It's a good time, always.
Episode 8.
Mr. Holler.
Oh, yes.
Do the leads.
So to my right, we have the owner and proprietor of Take Action Tattoo and Gaming. He makes all this possible, and he also spends most of his time watching ridiculous horror flicks.
A good amount. I wouldn't say most.
Some
A
might
good-
call him a Shudder enthusiast.
I am. I've seen some good stuff on there lately. Actually.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that very shortly.
Yeah.
But first, I need to go to my left and introduce everyone's favorite window repairman and Criterion collector. Most recently voted most likely to ask for your Netflix login info, Mr. Reese Anweiler.
That's not true. It's useless to ask for someone else's Netflix login now. You can't use it unless you're in their house.
Oh, okay.
They fixed the system.
Well, whatever the next streaming service is, and
Wow.
he's going to be asking for
This
your
is my
login
reputation now. I'm a mooch, huh? I'm not. I never said I wasn't willing to. This stream goes both
info.
ways.
Mooch is a good word. I'm going to write that down for the next episode. Anyway, I am, as always, Dustin. I'm the guy that pretends to have all the answers because I worked at Blockbuster once.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Hey, that's a certain kind of criteria, you know.
It is a
Counts
criterion
counts for something.
that I collected.
Was your vibe pretty much the same back then? Or were you more lively?
Probably
Were you-
more
I think-
abrasive.
I think that,
Sure.
no,
Being younger, you know.
Oh yeah,
I was a
imagine
lot
being kind of an
quieter.
asshole.
I was a lot quieter. Like that stage kind of helped me come. Like I started to come out of my shell.
Yeah.
Around that time.
What state were you in when you worked at Blockbuster?
What state?
Were you here in
Like-
Warsaw?
Oh, okay. You meant like physical state.
Physical, like,
yeah,
were you pretty beefy?
like I was pretty fucked up, man.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah, I was in the state of Indiana.
Yeah, okay. In Warsaw?
I did work at the Warsaw Blockbuster for a long time, but I was also at one point the store manager of the Columbia City Blockbuster.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just always curious. I'm sure it had to have lined up at some point that we were in the same Blockbuster at some point.
Oh, I'm sure. Like that's true of like everybody.
Right.
Like you know how there are like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. There are like 6 degrees of every Blockbuster like person who's ever been in one. Every Blockbuster customer. There are like 4 degrees to another person.
Yeah. Including Kevin Bacon.
Including
We're
Kevin,
all probably-
including Kevin
We're
Bacon.
probably
Unless,
all-
unless of course Kevin Bacon never went into Blockbuster.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Yeah. It's possible. So anyway, what have you guys been watching?
Yeah. Some stuff. I watched, speaking of Shudder, a pretty solid, I wouldn't call it like just amazing, but it was solid. It was a fun exercise. Horror movie called The Raven. That is a play on like Edgar Allan Poe's history. I don't know if any of that bit is even remotely accurate. It sets up him as a cadet in the West Point Academy, military academy, when he's on some degree of a patrol and comes across some spooky shit. Yeah, cool movie. It used, kind of set up the scenarios in the film with, you know, the stories from Edgar Allan Poe, kind of establishing his own character developing from this, you know, hypothetical horror situation. But pretty cool plays on some stuff. Pretty well shot, really nice atmospheric piece.
This is the one with John Cusack, right?
No.
Oh.
No. It's pretty new.
It's called Raven, though?
I think The Raven.
The Raven. But-
John Cusack is in a movie where he plays Edgar Allan Poe, and it's
Really?
called The Raven.
There is no John Cusack.
This is
Are we
wild.
sure?
Yeah,
This
it's
is blowing my mind.
something to do with The Raven. It's on Shudder.
I think I know the movie you're talking about, and
Yeah.
I saw trailers.
Yeah.
that looked
Also,
really
when you
good.
first started
Yeah.
telling me about it, I also thought of the John Cusack.
Yeah,
movie
I was
that I've
unaware.
never
It's
seen.
called The Raven. Which I mean, like obviously that's like his most famous work
Right.
or whatever, so
Yeah,
it makes
yeah.
sense. But like,
Yeah, it's a poem.
yeah, 2012. I said work. Poems are
Yeah,
work.
yeah. I'm just letting for those
they're
at home who might not
Those are for
be
drunk
as
seconds.
in tune with our man Edgar Allan Poe as what you are, Reese.
Right. I mean, there's a whole generation of people that probably don't know who the fuck that guy is.
Yeah.
Even remotely.
That's true.
That's
yeah,
a terrifying thought, John.
2012.
Yeah.
The
that's where we're at,
Raven.
man.
So we gotta
John
wait.
Cusack played Edgar Allan
Okay.
Poe.
Well, I'll have to check.
Okay, so is there another Raven?
There
did
is
you
another
did you
Raven.
look up
I'm looking
the
now.
Raven?
Yeah. Shutter Raven.
The Shutter Raven. They're just making up their own
Yeah,
versions
it
of shit
was.
over there
It
on
was very
Shutter.
solid.
Do you remember who's in it? Anyone?
I had nobody that was super.
John's
recognized.
terrible
I mean,
with actor names.
I am terrible with actor names.
Yeah,
no
he's
one
really
that
bad.
really jumps out.
No one you recognize?
People that people that are recognized, but not any like super A-listers that need to
I
be
just need something to
recognized.
go off of because I just searched the Raven on Letterboxd.
I'm tired of talking about the Raven. Let's
Anyway, it was good. It was cool.
What
I'm
else do
just
we,
fascinated by this.
let's all just stop what we're doing and look
Yeah,
at our
yeah.
phones and look
The,
up Raven.
the other
potential
movie-
the listeners
Raven.
are curious
That
too.
I
They'll
was
figure it out.
surprised
people.
by was actually the new Puss in Boots movie.
Oh my god, it's so
it
good.
was super fucking
The
fun.
new Puss in Boots.
It was
movie.
really heavy.
Yeah.
It was really dark.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was actually really satisfied.
This is Antonio Banderas,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I don't give
Never actually
a
seen
shit
one of
about the
these.
Shrek. I mean, like, I don't have a problem with Shrek at all. Like, it's fun. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of, adult stuff there, too. But, yeah, this is a different level of that. And
It is.
the animation style was super cool. The
Yeah.
the combat scenes, the fight scenes in it.
It's definitely
whole
in
different
the
thing.
family of the Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
taking
very much
cues
so.
from that.
Yeah, no, it was a blast, man. It was a lot of fun to watch.
I watched a family thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a short series. I think it was like 8 episodes, and it actually came up because it was one of the I just kind of went through Letterboxd, and it was one of the highest rated things that exists on Letterboxd.
Right.
But it's called Over the Garden Wall.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
You would love that.
Yeah,
Molly, we just talked about that when I tattooed
Yeah,
on Molly. She recommended it.
I had never seen it, and I thought it would be a cool thing to watch with Molly because it looked right up her alley. She, of course, loved it. I thought it was really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
Nice.
it was very well done.
Sweet.
Yeah. I have watched insane amount of good things last.
Oh yeah, I got a lot on my list also.
Yeah, we have a lot of overlap.
We do.
I have a few, probably more, but I can't quite recall them right now because it's been a long day.
Well, he and I each have a lot, so you can
Yeah.
think.
Yeah,
Sure, yeah.
whenever you think of something, jump in. We both watched Shadow of the Vampire. That was a first for me.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, it's probably like
Super great.
a 5th or 6th watch for me. It's one of my favorite movies. I just I'm all about performance. Like I think that
yeah.
performance can just make or break a movie, and for me, like the performance of Willem Dafoe in this film is it's pretty good. It's pretty untouchable.
I was-
There's so many that are just
Yeah,
so good.
like
It's
it-
Willem Dafoe, man.
The fucked up thing is he didn't win an Oscar for this role. Not only that, his nomination was for Best Supporting Actor, which is kind of weird because
is.
he
So who
was like kind of the lead actor. I
Yeah.
guess maybe it's just screen time. I know
I
they go
suppose.
by
I don't know, I
screen time
feel
on some of
like-
it's pretty fucked some of these
It's- I
times.
mean,
John
it's-
Malkovich.
it's him or John, right?
is-
Yeah.
I feel like he's the lead.
Sure, but I mean I think they're both the lead, I guess. That happens. I mean,
Yeah.
I would say for that film in particular and that story in particular, it is about Nosferatu. It's about the guy that the movie's about Nosferatu.
Yeah.
And the movie's about the guy that the movie's not really about the guy that made Nosferatu. It didn't feel like that to me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
would
and
peg it
unfortunately,
otherwise.
listener, we're talking about a movie that's damn near impossible to see.
Yeah.
It is fucking phenomenal, but you're gonna have to go to eBay and buy somebody's used DVD copy
or
to watch
Google and borrow somebody's digital copy.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
it. Oh.
It's actually not that hard to find illegally. But,
Illegally.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know.
similar with our
Know
pick,
your audience.
Our pick for today. And I only advocate for pirating movies when studios do not make it easy to give
Sure,
it for us
sure.
to view them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you think they would.
Only
so.
then.
Yeah.
So, what else you guys got? I've got some stuff.
Another overlap. We watched Past Lives in theaters.
Yeah, we
It's
did,
out right
and
now.
this one might come up again later
Yeah.
when we talk about the feature because there's we've all kind of talked individually about how we feel about this movie off air, not together, and I think that some of John's feelings in today's feature, I feel like I kind of had some of those feelings when it came to Past Lives.
Yeah.
And well, I actually enjoyed both films immensely, so
Yeah.
we'll have to revisit that one. But yeah, I do have something to say about Past Lives when we're on the feature later.
Yeah. I thought Past Lives was pretty incredible. I definitely would happily rewatch that sometime.
And then you're gonna bring up 13 Assassins, right?
Well, yeah,
Like
that's the last thing I watched. I was working my way, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we watched 13 Assassins, and it was like just a fucking badass samurai movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
13 Assassins is clearly just like somebody in Japan went into a Japanese movie studio and was like, I've got the next hit right here. It's
Yeah.
literally just Seven Samurai meets Harakiri, like the
Right.
greatest two Japanese samurai flicks of all time. We just combined them,
Yeah.
and it played out exactly like that.
Except I would say it's more,
More samurais.
definitely, yeah.
Because
Just by
six
number.
more. Six more.
Higher concentration. samurai.
But it's like more that just like primal, like because they are out to assassinate like the
that's the thing. Yeah,
shittiest person in the world.
Seven Samurai is a passive thing.
Yeah.
It's a reactive. Well, not passive. It's a reactive thing.
Yeah.
Well,
And
one of them
the
is
tone is super, like,
protecting a village
somber.
at incredible odds, and this one is trying to assassinate a dude.
This
against
one is
incredible odds.
using a village as a booby trap.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a badass movie.
Yes. I mean,
highly
and that's
recommended.
what you want out of. Well, I mean, there's plenty of like heady shit to be had in a samurai tale, but at the end of the day, like
Yeah.
you kind of want some
Yeah.
samurai badassery. And actually, there's the other movie that I did watch that was worth watching was on a Japanese note, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
you were
yeah.
talking
It's
about
a
this.
weird pseudo-American wannabe samurai astrophysicist fucking guitarist trumpet solo player, no, bugle solo player, according to the movie. Just a super fun, wacky 80s fucking nonsense ride of debauchery. It was pretty fun. I definitely would encourage people that love that era of film to watch
Yeah.
it. It's weird because it felt like different things at different stages. At a certain point, it felt almost like a spoof of comic book movies as a whole. But yeah, great cast, great performances by the cast that I had. Every time I see Peter Weller, I always wonder why he's so fucking quiet. Like the guy can't just like maybe
Yeah.
Peter Weller would have been bigger if he didn't have such like a muted, passive voice because he's just always that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, I think that's an underrated 80s
Yeah.
classic because it is like absurd.
Yeah.
It is, and I think
But
that's
it's
probably
really fun.
it's probably what puts people off of even because I'm sure people like come across it and they read
Yeah.
the title and they're like, what the fuck? Like
Yeah.
The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. Like I'm not gonna watch that.
I think my brother and I found that on it was a DVD like triple pack of.
Oh, that's the perfect place for it.
Yeah, it was that, and then Spaceballs and Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Okay, that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
fantastic fucking. That's the
Yeah.
best
Yeah.
one of those ever.
Usually not a fan of bundles, but
They're
yeah,
usually
it's
trash. Like
pretty-
there's
Yeah.
one good movie. One of the saddest things.
some of them
in-
just don't make sense.
No,
No,
well,
no.
dude, yeah, exactly. There's one of the saddest things. I got a bundle that was like a Western bundle, and it was just like three were just the most typical bullshit, actiony, lame, moderate budget, wannabe Hollywood tier 2 westerns, and then Dead Man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a fucking tragedy.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
Surprised they didn't throw in like Three Ninjas Kick Back or something.
Yeah.
Like, something that's not even a Western. Also, a little crossover. I do know that Reese, you and I watched Suspiria,
Yes.
the original Suspiria, which I found to be quite good.
Yeah, I thought it was very weird and intense. But
Yeah.
and it honestly, you haven't watched the remake.
I have not watched the remake. No.
It's like it's almost not the same movie. It's like
that's what you were saying.
they're going totally different directions in a good way. I really like the new one but it's totally different from the original.
Yeah, nice little artsy horror film. I enjoyed a lot.
Yeah.
Speaking of horror films, I think my favorite movie that I think I've seen since the last episode was this movie, Woman in the Dunes. It's a 60s Japanese. I'd call it like they probably call it a thriller. I think it's more of like a like cerebral kind of horror flick, like just emotional, like mental horror thing. Really, really fucking good flick. And the Japanese people in the 60s just killed it with their filmmaking, man.
Yeah.
Like their filmmaking was just on another level.
Yeah.
So ahead of their time. I also watched Ringu, which was the original The Ring, the horror flick. It's basically the same movie.
Yeah.
Just, subtitled.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume though, usually there's more atmosphere. In those films.
There's a little more atmosphere.
There's a
I will
lot of
say,
atmosphere.
if you guys watch the movie The Ring or Ringu or whatever, like they're both about like you watch a video tape and then you die. I will say that I think the remake, I think the video was like better. The video was like maybe a little scarier, a little little more defined. Like, so I guess I would give a nod there. But yeah, atmosphere. I think you're right. Probably does go to the original.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was decent.
Yeah.
It was decent. It was worth a watch.
I rewatched Nope because I just bought the
Oh god, that's so good.
4K
That's on
and
my
Z
list
hadn't
still.
seen it. And it was like I think I could definitely I appreciate it as like a really well made movie the first time I watched it.
Yeah, you and I were kind of on opposite ends coming out of the theater.
I was
like
kind of
that.
mixed. I was like, I'm definitely happy I saw it, especially watching a second time. I was like, damn, I'm happy I saw this in the theater because the theater looked so much better than even 4K on my big TV. But the second time, I just felt like I think it had less expectations, and I also felt like everything really like just flowed together and just made a lot of sense the second time.
It's a really like funny movie.
It is,
and like and it's not like an Evil Dead type of horror comedy.
No.
It's like its own thing. He's definitely got his own style, which I really, really enjoy.
Yeah, the thrills though, like some of the
yeah. Especially like a guy with a comedian background that's just like done this like nice little run of like kind of really sweet horror films.
the house raining scene is still like it's both
Oh,
times
yeah.
was like
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorite part. It's
It's so good.
fucking good. It's
I did a little rewatch of Dark City, sci-fi movie starring Rufus Sewell. Really, really like stylistically badass movie. This movie was like made I think like 3 years before The Matrix, but it looks like The Matrix stole a lot from Dark City. It's definitely a little bit before its time. It's a sci-fi movie with a sci-fi vibe, and I don't know. It's just if you're a fan of sci-fi, see Dark City.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but it's always been very impactful.
Yeah, it's a very science fiction movie, which is if you're a fan of sci-fi, it's probably what you want.
Yeah.
I like sci-fi, but not with too much sci-fi.
Yeah, I draw the line at a certain amount. Too much
At some point, it's
sci-fi.
fucking pretentious.
Yeah, I need to rewatch that one. I've only seen it once, and I definitely didn't give it its full due attention.
Yeah. So I watched a movie called Belle de Jour. It's a French movie. It's on the Criterion channel. I think it's from the Criterion Collection. It's about some housewife who gets bored and decides to go be a whore.
Sounds
that's
pretty
really
straightforward.
Yeah, that's really what the movie is.
Is this like 3 hours long?
No, it wasn't actually that long. It was a couple hours. But yeah, it's just basically like a newlywed, like just gets married to her husband. They fuck, and then she's just like,
I'm bored.
yeah. She starts hearing about the idea of like cat houses or whatever, and starts asking like, husband, did you ever go to these cat houses? What are they like? And like he's just saying it, and really she's just like. He's giving her his experience, but really she's just like making a mental lock. It's like, I think I want to do this. And it's
What
like,
was the address?
like it's weird. No, that actually comes up at some point with like one of his friends or whatever. Like, but it's this weird thing because like he's like rich and like he's she doesn't need to do anything except be a pampered housewife, and she decides to be a whore. And
She should have checked that out before getting married.
Yeah, and it has it's weird because it has nothing to do with money. I think she just wants the experience.
I would happily be a French whore.
You would be a French whore?
Yeah. That sounds like a dream.
So
French whore in the 60s? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, the Belle de Jour. It means like lady of the day or something, because
That seems contrary.
Well, so it's fucked up, right? So she that's the thing. She keeps weird hours because she can only
get those third shifters
whore it around when her husband's at work. So she's like the lady of the day.
Nice. Okay.
I
see.
Yeah. Anyway, also I saw Mother ! Exclamation.
Well, you just saw it all, didn't you?
Saw Mother.
Mother.
Yeah. Jennifer Lawrence movie. What's Javier Bardem.
Not an easy watch.
Yeah. Reese didn't love it. It's a very uncomfortable movie to watch. It does not make you feel good when you're watching it. Another one of those, we'll call it a cerebral horror.
Yeah. It's a hard genre to nail down for sure.
Very uncomfortable flick. But anyway, that's majority of what I watched.
Nice.
Oh, I also watched Singing in the Rain. I rewatched Singing in the Rain. Oh. That movie is fantastic. Yeah. It's just a good old American classic. It's a good time. If you have not seen it or seen it in a while, you should definitely check it out.
Yeah, a lot of that period of film is on I have a big list of that stuff to go through.
Yeah.
For sure.
Indeed. Right. So, shall we talk about today's feature?
We shall.
We should.
All right. Well, this week it was Reese's pick.
Yes.
And he chose Raise the Red Lantern.
Yeah. Before we get into it, if anyone would like to watch before listening, which we always recommend, it is apparently available to rent on Amazon.
What?
It's probably going to be about the same quality as we got. Not from Amazon.
You can rent only. You can't purchase it anywhere.
Right. You can't purchase. And it's 99 cents, so I'm guessing it's pretty low quality.
Oh, nice.
Damn.
But,
yeah.
I mean, you can find a really good copy on YouTube. So
which is the one that I just rewatched the other night, which was solid quality.
Yeah,
it was fine.
And it's definitely worth your time. It's just an incredible film. But Raise the Red Lantern is a 1991 film. Probably not going to pronounce many of the Chinese names because I just think I'm going to butcher it all.
Which in this movie, it's actually, I don't think we need names. I don't think names are important.
I was just going to say the director.
Yeah. And they make a very, like they push that through the film. Not actually addressing anybody by names.
The director is Zhang Yimou, who has directed some other notable films. His biggest one is probably Hero, but he also did the movie called The Great Wall, but it was starring Matt Damon from a few years ago.
No.
I know that the lead chick's name is Gong Li.
Yeah,
and
Gong Li.
I know this because I turned to John and I said, that's a funny name.
So, 1991, directed by Zhang Yimou. The Letterbox synopsis says, China in the 1920s. After her father's death, 19-year-old Song Lian is forced to marry the much older lord of a powerful family. With 3 wives already, each living in a separate house within the great castle, there is fierce competition for his attention and the privileges that are gained. This competition gets out of hand.
Yeah, it's a pretty good summation. ...
Aha.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very solid summation. I think that's pretty much exactly what happens.
That's it's not a complicated movie, and it is all set in this one location. Besides, like the first 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as the forcing her being forced to, I would have liked more expression of that happening, and I think because I had a hard time connecting with the main character, and those little things would have helped me connect a little bit more. Because there's a very, it was kind of loose and subtle confirmation that it was a forcing,
Yeah. So, the movie kind of starts off where she's she was in college, but now she's not in college because they couldn't afford it because the dad died. And so,
You don't learn. It's kind of like really sprinkled throughout the whole movie.
It is,
the whole
it is,
details. But
yeah.
yeah, she was going to college. She went for about 6 months. Her dad died. Apparently, it's her stepmom,
Stepmother.
not her mom.
Yeah.
Kind of pressured her into getting married for the sake of the family, obviously.
Right.
And she decides to marry a rich man and be a concubine. Because she's just like, basically, fuck it. I'll just be a concubine.
Yeah. Which the very first opening scene is her having, I think it was pretty sure it's her having a conversation with her stepmother about, the options she has and acknowledging like, oh, well, I guess this is all I can do, right? This is what I'm supposed to do is just be a concubine. Well, I guess I'm going to be a concubine then.
Yeah, because her stepmom's kind of just like, you couldn't get a rich man. In not so many words.
Right. Which is funny because she does, and not so many actions.
Yeah, but not as like.
I mean, not as like an
I don't
equal.
know the culture, but I am assuming you have a lot more privilege and praise as the first wife. Of a rich man.
I would imagine so. And I mean, there's not going to be a whole lot of options for somebody in that setting. I can't imagine there's that many options right now for somebody in that setting. It being set in the 20s is still like that was a thing that was like.
Yeah.
Just weirded me out, and it made me want. I didn't have time, but I actually wanted to research to see the socioeconomic setting of China in the 20s to see if this was still a thing where some guy could just have concubines and maintain this giant it's a big fucking castle.
Yeah,
it's a big fucking castle.
Yeah. It's apparently this was just like the acceptable like culture up until about World War II is when things kind of changed.
Yeah, it's very old money, and they do make reference to that. Early in the film, they talk about how it's a family tradition that's been passed down for many generations.
Everything.
The tradition is everything.
Yeah. And they talk about how like the family is eaten at this table together for many generations. So like that tells you old money right away.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's obvious. I mean it's a fucking castle.
Yeah.
You gotta have old money to have a fucking castle.
Yeah, apparently, and I was just blown away because I'm like, this has to be on location because there's no way this is a set. This is incredible, and it is. It's a real house.
Yeah,
it's all one family's house.
Yeah,
that like is still standing today, and apparently you can do tours of it, but like they just don't even advertise that this movie was shot there.
Interesting.
Because another very interesting thing about this movie that I learned is that it was banned in China like shortly after it came out.
Oh, really?
I could see that.
Which is odd because it's a Chinese movie, and it was like critically acclaimed everywhere. It was nominated for.
Yeah, I mean they,
like best foreign film or something.
It's critical of it
is. I
Chinese
mean, it seems
powers that be culture. So of course, they're not
apparently
not a big fan of that.
The director has claimed that it has no overarching narrative of being critical of generations or old traditions and stuff in China. So he has denied that in order for it to not be banned in China anymore.
Sure, yeah. We know what you're doing.
I mean, how could
or
it
even
not?
Even if he wasn't trying to, it just is. I mean, that's the thing.
I don't know how you could view this movie as anything but critical.
This movie is just exactly what it is.
Yeah,
and like that is just what it is. Like. If it was intended as so,
Dynamite breakdown.
I mean, if it was
what it is,
regardless if he intended it as a critique and assessment of this culture, it becomes that. So even if he didn't mean for it to happen, like it naturally is that.
It is,
It just is. So.
Yeah, because it's because that's what tradition is what is happening on screen.
Exactly,
so like,
and
it's critical of it because people
just fucking
hurt.
because it's an observation that's naturally. Inevitably not good.
Yeah.
Because the situation was not good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Something I learned in doing some little research about this film. This was actually shot in Technicolor with like a 3-strip camera.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Something that actually had we really stopped doing in like the 50s.
Yeah.
And like was completely dead by like the 70s. So this was 1991, and they're using the old Technicolor 3-strip.
Huh.
And like Hollywood hasn't used it really in like 50 plus years. And it's like for those of you who don't know, the Technicolor 3-strip, it's kind of like it was the first real color camera that we had, and it basically layered 3 strips of film over one another. So like there was one that pulled out all the reds, one that pulled out all the blues, and then like kind of sandwich in between those was like the black and white with like yellow and green. And like the reason they stopped using them is because literally it uses 3 times as much film. So it's
Pretty
really fucking
complicated.
expensive.
Yeah.
And it's funny that they chose to use this, something that hadn't been used in well over 20 years at all. And like John, I remember like some of the parts of the movie when they're like raising all the lanterns and like they have like crews of people who are snuffing them out at the end of the day. And you're just like, extravagance. This is so excessive, you know. And it's just it's funny because it's like the filmmaker kind of had the same approach to making the film.
It's exactly as extravagant
like
as
what
the
it
story
appeared
is.
on screen. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. Now there was some really the opening scene after she's dropped off from her bus and ends up walking to the castle, but when she first enters the grounds and walks up those steps with the wall behind her, that's all of the Chinese characters. That like at your house on that television, like it was weird. It seemed like it had a very ethereal effect to the visual.
Yeah.
And as she was walking through and the background became unfocused, it seemed animated almost. Like I remember.
There is something about Technicolor too. That is the thing. Is like the colors that you get like in this film are just like nothing else that could be made at that time. Like when you like I remember she has like a pink flower in her hair. Like what is it? Like the third mistress or whatever always has a pink flower in her. It pops so hard. Like every time you see her, the lipsticks pop so hard. Like all the makeup, like everything. The colors in this movie, it's really beautiful. It's actually really beautifully shot.
It's
very much so, yeah. Very much so.
For like just shooting like the same like. I mean, obviously it's all in one castle, but like there's only I don't know maybe 5 or 6 parts of the castle that it really takes place in, and it just I don't know it makes it look so gorgeous, and it's a beautiful building.
They pay special attention to the space.
Yeah,
that's one thing that I noticed in watching it. The second time, it's just they make a very concerted effort to use the space and view the space and acknowledge the space that it is. To of course acknowledge the grandiosity of I think the Master as a character and what this is.
It makes sense though because this movie is basically about 4 women who are the 4 concubines, the 4 wives of this rich man, and it's all about them.
Yeah,
to varying degrees. It's more about some than it is others, but it's about these 4 women.
Yeah, these 4 women and their psychology and the psychology used by the Master, but it's definitely like it's a very like weird, complex like arena battle.
Yeah,
with these women, and including the servants too, to a degree. The one servant of the 4th wife.
Yeah, well, to all these 4 women, the servants, the people that kind of outside of like the Master, the man of the house, like everybody's lives is contained to this castle. I mean, like there is no news from the outside world. This is their lives.
Yeah, the servants live there.
Yes,
and their families live there.
And the 4 wives live there and don't, from what we can tell, ever really leave. They're kind of like prisoners to these grounds.
They don't seem like they're forced, like because the 3rd wife does. Like she goes to visit her.
That's right. Yeah, there is
at like a hotel, right?
Yeah,
so
they have an amount of allowed freedom.
Yeah. But obviously, they are.
And that's the thing too. They're not under like oppressive control.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that
they have the illusion of freedom.
Yeah. But I mean, there's probably cases where they could if they. I mean. There are no armed guards at every corner. There's no one keeping them there. He has an amount of men, and you actually see them in action at the very end of the movie. But throughout the movie, I mean, it's the mostly all you see maintaining these grounds are old women and old men.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. So that's one thing, too, that kind of helped with my disconnect for what the situation was, is that there wasn't, like, they give you this scenario where everything is completely controlled, allowed, but there's no representation of like any kind of an iron fist whatsoever. And all the women, even though it's, they are being played against each other psychologically, they are like fairly happily all playing into what this thing is.
Yeah.
Like they're
it's
all
like,
committed to the game that they're playing.
Well, I mean, like the first wife doesn't get involved at all.
The first wife doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, right. That's like you can see
she's just kind of over it.
Yeah,
stages.
the progression.
The first wife's
yeah.
totally over it. The
Yeah.
second wife has like tried to like move
Well,
into
and
acting
she-
like the nice person.
Yeah, when she's actually the most
bitch
ever.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think part of her evil nature is that she's trying, like she knows that she's seeing the first wife who is just like check the fuck out.
Yeah.
There's a scene where probably like 2/3 in the movie where it's the first, second, and third wife, and the first wife's just like, yeah, this shit's all gonna fall in your hands. Like you guys are just fucked. I'm just over here hanging out until I die, basically. And so probably the second wife seeing that is like, okay, I've got to fucking battle for this. Like this is my last chance to be relevant because I got two pretty young ladies over here.
Yeah.
That I got to deal
with more to come.
I mean that's the thing. That's a surreal idea too. That it's just this revolving door of that.
Yeah. Well, and that's also that like they are so convinced that providing a son will win them all, like everything.
And all
Meanwhile,
the favor.
the first wife has provided a son.
Yeah, and she's
been
just
totally
she's just
cast
there.
aside.
And I mean, but that's the thing. They're cast aside. Like I don't. It's weird because it's mission accomplished. I mean, she doesn't play the game as the other three do.
Yeah.
But she just exists.
Yeah.
And she presumably has all the things that she needs. She has servants. It's a boring. I mean, I personally wouldn't want that life of just hanging out in a fucking castle.
That was a big takeaway. Is like, oh my god, this life is so boring. They've got nothing to do
except for
exactly.
like be bitter towards each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
It's like
just a
high
weird,
school.
Weird thing. Yeah.
It's like a high school with only like 4 other people.
And this psychological gladiatorial match of these bitter fucking angry women that are pretty much all just sad and angry of their failure in life to have to
and
be
taking it
some guy's
out on each other.
concubine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's one thing too that I think of the fourth wife, the main character, is that there's a scene just after she gets to the castle. I think after her first. I don't know if it's after her first encounter with the guy in her room or not. I've got notes here, but they're sporadic. But she spends an amount of time holding a red lantern and looking at herself in the mirror.
Yeah.
And, shedding some tears. And to me, that felt like, well, yeah, I did this.
Yeah.
I done fucked up.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's the thing, too. Like, the stepmom did force her into this, but it was a very soft forcing.
Well, like she couldn't have continued to go to university.
No, she couldn't go to university.
So, like,
so that's one of the things that there's like a barrier for me in connection with the character. Like, yeah, you couldn't go to university.
So, like, yeah, she's choosing to be a concubine instead of like working in
instead
a
of
field
doing
or
whatever else a woman in the 20s in China could have done.
Which is probably not much.
Not much. Not much. But there's probably like 2 other things.
Yeah.
There's probably 2 other things.
She could have married a poor guy.
She could have married a poor guy. Yeah, like that's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So that's where you're at. Like,
Yeah.
She chose to marry to be a concubine because, quite frankly, she's 19 years old and she's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
yeah,
childish, and the word childish is thrown at her by the husband multiple times.
Well, and she exhibits her entire.
I think that's her whole shtick.
Yeah, she is very
anything
childish.
you don't like about her can be attributed to the fact that she's only 19 and put into this very mature situation,
right?
And she's just not ready for it, and she's got power over other people, which she is not ready for,
right?
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the husband character because I think it's the way that he was shot.
Oh, it's super. That's one of the coolest parts.
He is not in the movie.
So it's fantastic.
He is an off-screen presence.
Every time, even the one time that they're at the dinner table, the most you see is a hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I noticed there's one scene in the bedroom where he is sitting at the end of the bed and he's giving a monologue, but there's a little curtain from the bed in front of his face. And then halfway through his little monologue, he stands up and like he's still talking, but like now his back is to the camera.
Yeah.
So like it feels like whenever in all of his speaking roles, he is either his face is covered, his face is like kind of blurred out, and something else in the room is the focus of the camera, or his back is turned.
Yeah.
Like they're trying very hard.
It was
to
very
make it clear that
meticulously
he is
done.
not part of this.
Yeah.
He's anybody.
Yeah.
He is just an
Yeah,
X.
he's just a guy. He's just a pile of money
It's like
providing this life.
It's definitely like the most unique and like I don't know, arguably even interesting part of the movie. Of a very interesting movie, but like the also very modern for something that's 40 years old,
Right.
Yeah.
30 years old,
Yeah.
and Chinese. Like that's
Right.
such a really interesting
No,
choice.
that was a very solid choice from the filmmaker. It was very well done.
yeah.
It was a great mechanic. It was a great mechanism to focus on the women themselves. But of course, like the setting is the setting, and the setting is everything. So it's really they just made him a part of the environment,
Yeah.
essentially. In order to help focus on the women.
He's also arguably like the source of all of the conflict and pain in the movie.
Oh
and,
yeah, no, he
literally nothing bad happens to him.
Yeah, no. It's really nothing good happens in this movie.
No.
Period. Like at all. Like nothing even remotely arguably good.
Yeah.
And that's
If there's one thing we've learned, I think we've learned that John did not really care for this movie.
no. I won't say that.
It wasn't your favorite.
It's in that genre of movie where it's like when you're telling somebody about it, you go, I enjoyed it? That feels weird to say.
John's not going to be watching this again.
It's a very good film. I would tell people to watch it because it is a good film. It's a great period piece. It's a very well done period piece. It's just not a thing that I would want to watch again because it's while there's a lot of, so in the filmmaking and in the storytelling, there's a lot of dimensional quality. There's a lot of dimensions to all of that. Overall, though, it's a fairly one-dimensional thing of just suffering. And kind of almost self-imposed suffering. Like, they had to marry a poor guy. They'd probably be suffering too. Yeah, well, they still chose this suffering. So it's you walking through people that chose one suffering over another suffering, and it's just that. So I did not enjoy the film.
Okay,
I could
so
not
I am
connect
curious
to the
if
character.
if you watched a war film where somebody enlisted and fought in
Right.
World War II, right? Would you go, I mean, can I feel bad for you? You brought this upon yourself. You did enlist.
Well, no. I mean, that is to say that I have that feeling for any soldier.
Yeah.
Not to say anything that could get me canceled in the future on the internet. But I kind of defaultly feel that way. But so with those stories, there is generally some degree of a resolution. And that was something that I was frustrated with about this.
Yeah.
Is that and I don't want to go too far ahead, but there wasn't.
There is no ahead. There is no behind.
There is
We
no
are where we are.
resolution in this movie. There's zero resolution. And there can't be, really.
Right.
In the setting. There can't be.
Yeah, I mean...
And that's why that's not a fault in the writing, because there really can't be. But, okay, so if we're okay to jump ahead.
Yeah, I don't care.
How far? Okay, so after shit really goes down, lots of complicated things happen. The main character, exhibits childishness after childishness, and then is surprised by the results of her childish behavior. And I know she's 19, but 19's 19, so that was frustrating.
She's naive.
For me, she's naive, but she's like, I don't know. There's several cases in this movie. She lights something on fire, and it's like, oh, it burned down. What happened? This is terrible. How did that burn down? Like, you literally did this. But anyway, in the last scene, after all the things have happened, and she's like, finally, like, starts to, you kind of get this vibe that she's like, I'm fucking done with this. I'm going to do whatever I want. And she lights all the lanterns at her house after them being shrouded, which the amount of ritual, Jesus Christ, is crazy. Not only do they have these fucking ridiculous lanterns, they have special made shrouds just for this exact occasion when he wants to shun a woman.
It's
like,
ridiculously
we're
extravagant.
not just going to put them out.
Yeah.
We're going to put very elaborate covers on them as well. And then hang them back up, which is probably like 2 hours of work, 3 hours of work.
They're
But
very
anyway,
efficient, these workers.
They are.
These lantern hangers in the movie
Hopefully
are
there
very
are
good
some
at their
employees
jobs.
of the month.
I
at this
was
castle.
waiting. The first scene where they're hanging the lanterns, I was like, somebody's got to drop a lantern, right? Because he just goes like, zip, bop, And they look
Yeah.
heavy. They look like they gotta be like.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
they're like
for sure.
helping him raise
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like in the.
No, there is
little
he's
hangar.
actually a scene where he leaves maybe the fourth wife's house, where he's like, I'm going to the fucking second wife's house,
Yeah.
and then it just shows them just carting the lanterns away
Yeah.
on their little
In the middle of the night.
Yeah. But it's like, okay, so that scene is an hour and a half after him announcing he's going to the other house. Because it would take a fucking hour and a half to take those fuckers down, blow them out, put them back up, cart them on over. But no, it's like at that last scene where she's like showing all this defiance. I'm like, okay, she's going to I don't know, confront the guy or do something and do all this stuff. And she just lights her lanterns. And the next scene is the new wife. And, oh, who's that over there? Yeah, she went mad.
Yeah.
And then it's just her wandering around looking at lanterns. And I'm like, so, I don't know, you could have broken something?
Yeah.
And also, on this note,
I mean, you can't burn the building down.
you cannot burn the building down. You can burn something down. You can accost someone. You can, I don't know, be fiery. I don't know. But, so they had a perfect end shot. And I would have been so much more satisfied with what the resolution was. So the last two scenes are that, her lighting the lanterns, and then a really nice shot from that courtyard, amongst those four main buildings, into her room, and just kind of slow focus on her with these lanterns lit.
Yeah.
And that would have been such a nice end shot.
Yeah.
Because at that, it leaves something to the imagination. I feel like a story like this with no resolution.
You don't like that she went crazy?
I don't like that. I don't like the way she went crazy. I
I
feel
don't
like
even think she necessarily went crazy. I
No.
think she just 100% stopped caring.
yeah, and they're just like,
And that's
and of
crazy.
course, after the last thing,
It is
the
kinda crazy.
the big thing that happened is they were branding her crazy.
Yeah.
Yada yada yada. And so I'm sure she just didn't give a shit. But I would have just that on the rewatch and seeing that really nice shot in that setting, I would have been so satisfied for that to be left to the imagination. So okay, maybe she is gonna do something. Maybe something is gonna happen.
Yeah.
But the confirmation of 6 months later or 3 months later, whenever it was, I think the next summer, that it's just she just wanders around. And this guy keeps
Definitely feels more accurate.
wandering around. I mean, it's accurate enough, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
For the sake of the viewer, for the sake of the experience, I feel like they had a perfect ending there, and then went on, and that's where it's okay, that salt tasted really bad, and you're kind of getting the taste out of your mouth. Here's another spoonful of salt for you.
Yeah.
Going right on that. So, no, I don't want to say that I don't like the film, because it is a good film. It's a very good film, and it's a good period piece. It's a great telling of this story. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
And
The characters didn't. Hit
the main
for you.
character didn't hit for me. I actually the third wife. All the characters were very well acted.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
really,
Oh, yeah,
the
acting's great.
second wife kind of wins if there's a winner.
Yeah.
No, she
It's
does.
the second wife.
And
She's,
she's-
she's
I don't know.
she's fucking
first,
terrible.
First wife, right?
Well, first
She doesn't do anything.
I mean,
she doesn't hurt anybody.
first
she
wife is
has-
past winning. She's just
Yeah.
I'm over here hanging out until I die.
Yeah,
Sitting in
yeah.
nice
The game's
furniture.
over.
She's not involved in this really.
Yeah.
I
know,
won.
exactly.
I was
Yeah.
first wife and I had the first
And so
son.
that's the thing. Who knows on this individual's history and choices that led here? Maybe that is winning.
Yeah.
She's gonna die in a really nice, comfy castle.
I mean, literally, given how you're raised, in that time period as a woman, that's your purpose in life is to get married and have a son,
Right.
right? So, ooh, there's the
Yeah.
meaning of life. I just did it. Now I
She's-
can relax.
The oldest of these wives is gonna end up probably always being just you know what? Fuck it. I get a nice place to live.
Yeah.
Everything's provided. Every once in a while, this guy might want to have sex with me. Probably not,
For old time's sake. maybe.
but sometimes he does, and I'm just gonna sit here and terribly fucking boring. But maybe that is a win for that
Yeah.
person. I don't know.
She probably
you know?
got some when third wife was dead and fourth wife was insane,
right. So,
just to shake things up every now and again.
but no, and I definitely don't want to say that I didn't like the movie. I just didn't like. I didn't like the main character. I did not like her. I don't know, and I don't think the intention was for any of them to be liked either.
No.
That's the thing. It's just an
Yeah.
examination.
And
They're
that's
all
hard for some
great
people.
characters. I
No,
think.
they're they're all very well played. I really tip my hat to Second Wife.
Yeah.
She does such a good job.
Oh yeah,
through
she's
all of her
she's
performances.
like the snake.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
she
she's
kills
very
it,
good at being
man.
a
And the last scene after she gets the second wife exposed, and they're carting her off to the fucking murder hut. And so in this castle, there's one lonely hut on the highest level.
It's like a shed.
Are you guys familiar with the trope of Chekhov's murder hut?
Yeah. It's so obviously what it is, and it's just so funny because like they don't do anything to make it seem like a normal place. Like it's just like it's dirty and old, and they keep a lock on it. Like what else happens in an old dirty shed that you keep a lock on?
The second wife does is she's like, oh yeah, that's where people get murdered,
yeah,
but don't worry about it. Stop thinking about it.
It's
fine.
They basically allude to it.
Yeah, and once the third wife that's going down, and the second wife is found out for her infidelity. The third wife is found
She's
out.
fucking a doctor.
Yeah, the second wife, in that little bit of dialogue with the fourth wife, is just like, yeah, oh man, I'm so glad that it was found out. It's gonna be such a fucking spectacle.
Yeah.
So much drama. Like, good job, thanks. You know, like, just that coy, catty, like, god damn, bitch.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah, I think I wanted to tie this back to when we were talking about past lives.
Yeah.
I do think that, like, well, I don't agree with John on this film. I actually really enjoyed this film a lot. But like just addressing the like where you have like a main character that you can't get like really get behind or whatever. I kind of had that problem with Past Lives, like, and just like you with this movie, I thought it was a really good film. It was really well done
for sure.
But I had the issue with the main character also kind of seemed kind of like very conceited and like the other main character in Past Lives to me kind of seemed like very needy, and like it's like a love story about like this like 12-year-old girl that he knew, and like they're not 12 anymore, but he's still hung up on something from when he was 12 years old. You know, and then she's now moved on and is married. Her husband is like, God damn, we need to buy this guy some therapy because he's so insecure. Like, so insecure.
His insecurity is so realistic, though.
It is very realistic, but it's also like
insecurity,
which is not a sexy thing to,
no.
You know, it's not a, like, I feel like, did you make a movie where I'm supposed to, like, if there's anybody that like I'm in it for, it's the super insecure husband. Like I don't really know who I'm supposed to be in it for, you know.
Yeah.
I think you are really supposed to sympathize with all three of them.
Well,
see, I can't though, because I don't sympathize with any of the three of them because they're all acting like fucking idiots.
And that's the thing. So every film is not. I don't know. It's the experience of the film is the experience of the story.
Yeah.
Right? So like with these kinds of things, like you're supposed to. The intention is for you to appreciate all the angles of all the characters at once, but you just need something to grasp onto.
Yeah.
I mean, in more than filmmaking, right?
Yeah.
Like especially if it's something as serious and heavy as these films are. You need something to hold on to through just the ocean of shit that you're wading through. And if it's...
I don't think Past Lives is unpleasant. I don't...
Right.
I
no.
I'm just... That comment applies to...
It's like, it's very much an uplifting movie, I would say. Although, like, there are some cringy scenes, you know, of like, you know, like a Korean girl, like, talking to her, like, her Korean boyfriend when she was 12 years old, while right next to her current husband, who's American and can't even understand like most of the dialogue that the two are like. They're at the same bar. And
not unintentionally cringy though.
Oh, that was like, no, it's very cringy. It's very cringy. But like
that's what that scene is setting up to do.
Of course, it's supposed to be cringy.
Like, this is really uncomfortable.
It's a really fucking awkward situation.
Being really inconsiderate to her husband.
Yeah, and even some of the like she goes to the bathroom and like this guy's like kind of like trying to speak to the man one-on-one also comes off as kind of cringy.
Well, yeah, the crush has like speaks very little English, so it's very hard for them to talk to each other.
Yeah, they both learned just enough to kind of semi-impress one another. Yeah, and I think there's like almost like a mutual respect for one another, but at the same time, it's still just fucking cringy. It's like really fucking cringy. So,
I mean, I actually, now that you talk about it, I do feel like there are some very interesting connections between these two. Like maybe perceived lack of choice. I feel like because I think you thought she was just being cruel by leading on her crush for all those years, when I thought she was just making a personal, very hard choice.
I think she's just kind of like a bad person. Like I really
in a way that everyone's a bad person.
Yeah, sure. If you want to say that, that's fine. I'm just saying that like it came across to me like she knew she was in control of the situation when they were 12 years old, and like she's in control of this situation. Like, she even makes the comment when she's 12 years old to her mom, she's like, yeah, I might marry him someday because, like, he likes me and, like, so I control everything. So if I tell him to marry me, he'll have to marry me. Like, it's just like, this is not a likable person.
12.
I know, but you know what? The person that she's grown into does not seem to be, she seems to still, because there's even a point where she said that 12-year-old girl you knew doesn't exist anymore. And it's just like, to me, it's not true because she's still kind of that person. She controls every aspect of this relationship. And she controls her current marriage as well, to the point where it's like, yeah, honey, my ex-boyfriend from when I was 12 is going to come into town. I'm going to be hanging with him this week. I'll probably bring him by the house so you can meet him. And like, everyone's just supposed to be okay with this scenario. And it's like totally fucked. It's totally fucked. Like, I kind of don't respect him because, like, he didn't put his foot down earlier. Like, is it too much to just say that? You
don't think it comes off as super insecure if you're like, oh, the person you had a crush on when you're 12? No, I'm not comfortable with you seeing that person.
I'm not saying he should say that, but I am saying that he didn't say that, and he still came off as super fucking insecure.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't see what that matters at all in the conversation. I don't know. The point is I agree with what John was saying with Raise the Red Lantern, because I got that same kind of feel. I actually thought both movies are great.
Yes.
I do see where John's coming from with that character, but for whatever reason, that character didn't rub me quite the way that it did.
It's
John.
funny that it didn't, because you were just shitting on this 12-year-old person for being like this infantile person.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Same thing I'm saying about this character. She's just an infantile person, and like, yeah, she's 19, but it's not like she hasn't seen the world. And that opening scene, also, if they would have not had that opening scene to show like this just super heavy understanding and sadness about what the scenario she was getting into. Like, they really were just like showing that she understands what this is right off the bat. And then it's just like, so that's why I can't like just write off all the shit she does as just childish, because they presented awareness. They presented that she knows what this is. They presented that she's like leaning into this terrible situation, and that's why every time it came to some part of this terrible situation of her being a terrible person, because she pretty much was the entire time, was so hard for me to connect with. I was just so annoyed. It was like, no, you know what this is. You told us you know what this is. You've shown you know what this is so many times.
She's also shown that she doesn't know what she got herself into, though. A lot. Like, she didn't know there was going to be a murder hut.
Well, no, but she knew every other thing. She knew what she knew what the contract was. She knew what the contract of this marriage was. She knew what the situation was. She knew what a concubine was. She knew all these things. And so, like that first scene, the first time the master visits her, and they sleep together, and the next morning he's trying to fuck. This is the name that cracks me up, because like the name is like Yanar.
Yeah,
but the entire time it was just like it was just like Yar, like Irish, like Yar.
Yeah. I have to assume that I feel like there was like a Yar.
Yeah. Like something, and there's some little tiny
accent to it. They're saying it so fast.
It's supposed to be a hard language.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, she's actually like a pretty main character. We haven't talked about.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, she creates a lot of the dynamic and pressure, and kind of creates the devolution, or like the spiraling out of control of the main character. But so that first night, the master comes, and the next morning he's trying to have sex with this servant girl.
Yeah,
and she's just like, "Oh my god, oh, oh, you had sex with a woman in your castle. You're all here for that. So how are you
including the servant girl,
surprised?
which was established earlier. She was kind of bitter about the fact
Yeah,
that
and
she
she was
wasn't
like-
the
she
she
was a
wanted to be the
shoo-in
fourth
for the-
mistress.
Yeah.
for this place. And so it was just those things that I just couldn't connect with that. Like the most
The servant was
relatable-
kind of a bitch too. Like
Yeah.
she's not.
Well, they
she's,
all are, and that's I feel like
she's
that's
not
the
getting a
whole-
pass
That's
from
the
me.
whole thing.
It is, and that is the whole thing. And that's what I was saying about the experience. Like
The
you're
third
trying
mistress
to-
might be the most redeeming character in the
No, she
in the
is.
film.
She absolutely
And-
is.
which is
She
fucked up because they
seems-
try to. They kind of give you like a bait and switch. They make you
They
think
do,
that she's
sure.
like she's the evil one the whole time, and they make it seem like the second one is the nice one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
really, there is no nice one, and
No.
the second one's the most evil. So by process of elimination, the third one is kind of okay.
Yeah.
See,
Well,
the
yeah.
things the third one does like are really like dumb. Like she's like singing at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Petty,
and
yeah, no,
but,
she's petty.
like she's not doing. She's doing petty things. I don't
Yeah.
think she's very
Yeah.
often doing like mean or
Yeah, she's
harmful
not doing
things.
malicious things.
Yes.
Whereas the
Well,
main character,
she's-
the fourth wife,
She's
is
even
super
more like
malicious.
she's ready to like sit down and play some
Yeah,
how
yeah.
do you say that game?
She pretends to be
Mahjong?
sick a lot, like
Yeah.
for,
Yeah,
like,
well,
her-
and that's again a petty thing. She's
Yeah.
trying to get attention because it's all about attention
yeah,
anyway.
It's all about attention.
And so, like, yeah, all these people are not great.
all these
Yeah.
people are not great,
Some of them are just bad, and that's where, like, yeah,
but it's beautiful.
the whole thing
in
is about
Technicolor.
the experience. It's just that, like I was saying, you need something to connect you and hold you through this experience, and that's where, like, to me, in a story like this, some kind of an attempt at a resolution is important to make the ride worthwhile.
Yeah.
More than just like the technical quality of the filmmaking, which is fantastic in this case. It's great, but like, it's just so frustrating. And like, and it's a matter of palate, it's a matter of perspective. For other people, like, so for me personally, I consciously, by choice, surround myself in illustrations of human suffering all the time in the art and music and shit I listen to and the music and art I produce. And so, like, a film that is just human suffering without resolution, to me personally, because of that, is like, I already, like, it's not that I'm unaware of what the world is and this level of suffering. I didn't need this exercise in suffering per se. And that's why, like, I can really appreciate the filmmaking, but I just wouldn't watch it again because I got those bases covered.
Yeah.
Now, I would definitely say it's a film that should be watched. It's a film that I would recommend people to watch. But for me personally, because of that, because I already surround myself in human shit so much,
Yeah.
there wasn't enough resolution to this human shit that I feel like I would need it personally again.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
and that's me. That's my bit. But yes, it's good. It's good. And yeah, the Yar character evolved quite a bit through it.
I just heard yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard
yeah.
it.
Yeah. I don't even
Yeah.
hear an R.
Yeah.
I heard Yar. I don't know. Maybe just
Yeah, no, it's-
fixated on
it's
pirates,
funny.
I guess I don't know.
All right. Are we ready to put a bow on this feature?
I think so.
All right.
I'm happy.
I'll start us
think
off.
Well, there's so much more we could talk about, but I'm happy with how much we've discussed.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, you should watch it, and then you can.
Yeah, you
all
can.
the things that we
you
didn't
can,
cover?
Yeah, you can tell us
Yes.
what we
Check it
didn't
out.
cover that we should have.
And honestly, a double feature where you watch this and then Past Lives, I think sounds really interesting.
Sounds really difficult to pull off as well right now. But
Right now, yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Past Lives is available digitally, but
Oh, is it?
I believe so.
I
It's
got there.
Probably expensive, but
Okay.
So one thing I want to say about this movie, just to shit on the thing
is-
I love to shit on.
I mean, you can have the first go at it because we just
Okay.
said we're gonna say last thoughts.
All right,
so.
last thoughts is this movie is so much better than something similar, which was Uncut Gems.
Yeah. You did say that to me privately as well.
It's a uncut. This movie didn't try hard. It was the piece of art that it was. Uncut Gems tried really hard, and so
Yeah.
this movie gets my seal of approval because it didn't try hard.
Yeah. He was talking about it to me, and he's like, I had the same feeling I had with Uncut Gems, and like, he's like, but the difference was this was actually a good film. Uncut Gems was a piece of shit. All right. Yeah, a little inside joke. Sorry, listener. There's an ongoing debate about whether or not Uncut Gems is actually good or not between
I
Reese
think we've
and
talked about it
John.
on the podcast
We
before.
have,
So if
Yeah.
if
And,
it's their
it's
fault if they
outside
haven't
enough,
listened to the
yeah.
back catalog.
Yeah,
exactly.
that is true. You should have went
Get on it.
backwards and listened to those shittier episodes. Like,
Yeah.
we were still figuring things out. I have
We're
still
still
not seen the
figuring
movie,
things
and
out.
I'm going to wait until one of you pick it.
Yeah.
It'll get picked.
So anyway, this movie is about people dealing with privilege while living in a snow globe.
Yeah,
And
that's a good summation.
it's beautiful, and it's not about a sexy subject matter, so
No.
you might not find the entire film, everything that it entails, might not be for you.
And,
but, the look of the film is
it's gorgeous.
it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous.
I would also caution on if you are not accustomed to traditional Chinese opera singing, it may be super
It's fucking cringy.
abrasive.
It's cringy as hell.
Because like on the second watch, I'm just like, God damn.
It was better at my house than it was at yours. I don't know why. On the
That
rewatch, I was like, I
piercing
remember this
sound bar.
hurting so much more.
It's a.
You got a
And then,
sound
I mean,
bar?
maybe like
oh,
and
yeah,
if you're an
extra
aficionado of
nonsense.
traditional Chinese opera, like,
It's
it might
pretty
be
fucking
on
hard.
the dot for you. You might just really enjoy that part of it, but it's a very specific kind of music.
Yeah.
So for me, I would say, fuck, this movie is a fantastic look at human psychology, which I think is really the bit, and that's why it's worth it to explore that subject matter, because all in all, people don't really look at that enough, and it's a good exercise in attempting to understand such a super important subject matter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I would say, fuck, this movie's just incredible. I've seen it once on VHS and once on a cheap rip on the internet, and both times I'm just blown away by how gorgeous it is. I really hope this movie.
It's that Technicolor, baby.
it's
Technicolor,
super
like
it's
a
super
Blu-ray
well.
Criterion release.
So
Oh.
it's a really well done film. It really is.
It's the score. I think the score is really
Yeah.
unique and just beautiful. This movie just kind of feels like effortlessly like perfect. I think.
No, it is for what it is. It is
Yeah.
a very it's great.
And just and I also don't. I think it's a pretty quick watch. It's 2 hours, but I feel like
Yeah.
it goes by quick.
On the
it does.
second watch, actually, it felt even faster.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. No, it's the pacing is actually really on point.
Yeah, I highly recommend this movie. Yeah,
All right.
it's fantastic.
So, quick watch, and so I had kind of a busy 2 weeks, busy week since we watched the film the first time. So I had the day off, so I spent my morning basically cramming for tonight's episode, and so I rewatched this movie this morning and immediately followed up with the subject of our Fuck That Movie segment. And I gotta say, of the two films, which our feature Raise the Red Lantern and my choice for Fuck That Movie, The Goonies, Raise the Red Lantern was a lot easier to get through a rewatch of. I am not gonna lie. I think I would have preferred to watch Raise the Red Lantern twice than have to watch The Goonies. Look, I know that this is like a loved, beloved American film, and god damn it, it's so cheesy from the first fucking scene.
No, it is.
It's just
is.
an American cheese ball of poor child actors, which I get it. Children can't act.
It's good.
I get it.
Yeah, that's why animated movies are better for young
Yeah,
kids, because then you have a
Sean
real actor
Astin,
behind an
Getting
animation.
adult women to voice the children.
Yeah.
Sean Astin cannot carry a film. Corey Feldman is the same person in every film,
Yeah, that's true.
including this one.
I won't deny that.
The Truffle Shuffle is not funny. Just having a token fat kid that you always make fat jokes to is
Actually,
not really that funny.
In today's day and age, that's very cancelable.
Yeah,
it's Goonies. There's
Yeah.
most of the stuff.
It is by design that.
The
exactly.
Fratellis are like the villains. They're very slapsticky.
Yeah.
I think there's even a couple times where they do like the whoop
It's
sound
weird.
effect
It's
when
weird
people fall
because they're
down.
supposed to be scary because they murdered somebody. There's like a dead body with a bullet in the head, but like the actual characters you see on film could never hurt anyone. Like
They're kind of
Probably an accident.
like they would never actually murder someone. It's very slapstick. It's the worst writing I've ever seen in a film before. Like you get lines like, "What if this map could lead to One-Eyed Willie's rich stuff?"
Yeah.
Like, are you like, okay, this term "rich stuff," which, by the way, the word treasure is said one time in the movie, and rich stuff is said something like, I lost count around 23. like they say rich stuff so many, as if it's like actually a thing that people say outside of like this movie or people referring to this movie. Like it's like the writer hasn't been around kids since he was a kid,
Right.
and like it's his like view of what children might say. No, they would just say treasure. Like nobody fucking says rich stuff. It sounds so ridiculous.
Maybe it was supposed to sound more modern.
I'll tell you what they do give us. They introduce us to Josh Brolin, the actor.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So Josh Brolin, also not really saved by this script. He performs this entire movie with a cut-off sweatshirt,
Yeah.
sweatpants, and bicycle shorts pulled up over the sweatpants. He
So
is
fucking
in
80s.
this the entire movie. And in the second act, he adds a headband.
He's getting serious.
It is the most 80s
Yeah.
role that there is.
Yeah.
What else do I have to say about this movie? There's more, right? There's more. Do I have notes? These kids. It's supposed to be like a family film, except they all say shit a lot.
Oh,
To make it edgy.
That's every 80s
And
movie.
they call each other penis breath.
Again,
there's-
lots of cancelable stuff in this movie.
I'm gonna leave you with one image. This scene, it's in like a lot of like, I don't know why this is such a popular scene in like kids movies. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. There's a scene with a man who's sitting on a toilet, and due to some things that are happening with the plumbing, a violent burst of water comes up from his ass and shoots him off the toilet
Yeah.
like 5 feet to where his head goes through the ceiling. He then falls forward onto the bathroom tile floor and says his one line in the movie, which is, "Daddy." It makes no fucking sense.
There should have been no line. Really.
that whole,
I mean,
the
There
whole
should have been no line.
shaking of the pipes thing makes no sense.
yeah,
It
you know,
makes no
that
sense how
makes no
it would
sense
like
for sure.
Affected
shoot.
the entire town.
And by the way, the practical effect they use to shoot him off, you can totally see a seat that he's sitting on that is
Oh,
not
yeah.
a toilet seat.
Yeah, yeah,
that is
yeah.
like the mechanism they use to
Yeah.
raise him off. It's so the whole thing is so ridiculous.
I mean,
it's
that's-
so bad.
That's the bit, is that it's ridiculous. It is what it is, man. It's
So I just want to leave it with this. If you really feel the need that you must watch like an 80s like family style film, I have a few other recommendations.
yeah. Hey,
You can
Buckaroo
watch-
Banzai.
Okay, there we go.
The
They got
Adventures of
one. I
Buckaroo
got
Banzai.
Harry and the Hendersons,
Yeah.
or Monster Squad, and
Okay, see, I watched Goonies like my entire childhood. I didn't watch Monster Squad till I was like 16. I was like, this shit's dorky.
yeah, it is dorky, but
It's all fucking dorky,
Yeah,
man.
it
That's
is
the
all-
bit.
it is
That's
all
But
the
I'm
bit.
fucking
saying
dorky.
Monster
Yeah,
Squad's
yeah.
like
You've
the
got some
exact
kind of,
same
like,
movie.
No,
early
yeah, exactly.
I
It's
watched
hard to split
Goonies in
hairs
my
with this shit.
childhood, and I
It's
still
really
think
hard
it
to split hairs
sucks.
with this shit.
Also, I would say that Goonies 2 is greater than the Goonies.
There's not a Goonies 2.
There is a Goonies 2, sir. It was on NES, and I'm pretty sure their writing department was better than what they were working.
Did Steven
with.
Spielberg write the movie?
No, it's presents. Steven Spielberg presents, which means he put his name on it.
Yeah, yeah. He wrote some checks and shook some hands.
Maybe he wrote it. I don't know, but it says presents. Anyway,
Story by Steven Spielberg. It doesn't
okay.
say
Well, he's not very
the
good at
screenplay
writing.
is by him.
I mean, that could have been like some notes on a napkin that he gave somebody to write.
Chris Columbus did the screenplay.
There wasn't even an AI in this movie. How could he have written it? Anyway, That's all I've got. I think the movie's terrible. I think let's just stop pretending that it's anything other than that.
What about Gremlins?
Gremlins?
Yeah.
Well, that isn't the subject of today's thing, but Gremlins is fucking awesome.
Okay. Have you rewatched it? It is also really dorky.
Yeah, no, I've rewatched it. I
So,
rewatch
I mean,
I rewatch
that's the
these things.
thing.
I don't
It's-
say things without rewatching.
It's
things.
so dorky. It's just a dorky time. It was a dorky time.
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah.
It was. That's
This
what makes
this
it.
is a film that
that's what makes
was
it fun.
that was trying to be edgy, whereas like Gremlins was actually kind of edgy.
I don't think Goonies was trying to be
I don't-
edgy.
I don't think it was.
It was. They have all their characters say shit in every
No,
scene.
that was
That's not
every
edgy in the
80s movie.
80s.
It was. I think it was.
I don't
they
think
were
it.
trying to be
I wholeheartedly disagree. That was an attempt to be edgy. That's
Yeah.
just 80s shit, man. Like every
Agree.
80s movie was just shit and whatever, and
Yeah,
like that's.
that was the 80s. At least in
It's-
movies. I wasn't there. But
So how do we feel about the sweatpants with the bicycle shorts over the top?
Fucking
and then-
80s, man.
I would
mean,
never do it. I wouldn't be seen in public in sweatpants, let alone sweatpants.
When you
with
watch- dude,
shorts
when
on.
you
I
watch,
wouldn't be seen in public with either of those two.
something that I just rewatched
things.
recently that I've seen a bunch of times is.
I don't even understand why the bicycle shorts would go on over sweatpants. That doesn't
Dude,
make
they
any
were
sense to
they
me.
were very confused people back
They were
then,
trying
alright?
to suffocate
Celebrities
his
were doing
balls.
cocaine and doing weird shit, and everybody's like, "That celebrity did that shit. That's cool."
Yeah.
The celebrity was just fucking high on cocaine and a bunch of other drugs and just did some weird shit, and everybody just followed suit. That's all that was.
Yeah.
But I just rewatched Return of the Living Dead, and the main troop of kids in Return of the Living Dead is such a great example of the 80s because it's just nonsense. They're all completely different, just weirdo bullshit. You've got your punker guy with all of his fucking leather and chains, and you've got this kid with brightly colored, like one kid wearing a fucking zoot suit, you know, like nothing made any sense in the 80s. Not one bit, especially for clothes. Like it was just
Especially
like
not in the
fucking
media
nonsense.
or
no,
pop culture.
No, it was weird. So
Yeah, and one thing I was thinking of the entire time I was doing this rewatch, it was so hard to get through. It was so hard. I got to thinking about when it was Reese's turn to say fuck that movie, and if I haven't said it, fuck the Goonies.
Yeah.
But Reese, was it last episode? Two episodes ago, you said fuck Roadhouse.
Yeah.
And you said Roadhouse reminded me that the 80s were really fucking gay, is what you said. And if that is true...
Not in a derogatory way, to be clear.
All right, that's what you said. But if that is true, I understand where you're coming from. And I submit to you that The Goonies is the gayest movie ever made.
Really?
I think so. It is the most 80s movie ever. It tries way too hard to be the 80s. This rich stuff shit.
So hey, you could say
fucking
that
rich
was ahead of its
stuff shit.
time. It was trying the hardest to be the 80s movie.
Still waiting
In
for
the
somebody
80s.
to say rich stuff in the manner that like.
Rich
But
stuff.
I don't know
I'm
why
gonna
they
start
hated
saying
the
it
word
now.
treasure.
I gotta go
Right.
to work. I gotta earn some rich stuff.
All right, hey,
Yeah.
boom, custom fucking treasure token for take action.
Oh,
Rich
oh, I
stuff.
need one. I need
The
one
rich
so
stuff
bad. Rich
token.
stuff.
Yeah.
Get a,
Anyway.
like a real classic pirate ship on it.
End rant.
Ooh, perfect time for and what's the caves of
Oh yeah.
Ixalan at the
Yeah,
end
yeah,
of the year.
yeah.
Off subject completely. But
Yeah, I would say so. I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking
All
about.
right.
So anyway, that's we are nearing the end of our episode.
So movies in theater,
movies
what
in
is
the
there to
theater.
watch? Right? There's
Do we want to do movies in theater, and then we can go to John to
I like
choose the next film?
I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. Let's do the movies in theater.
Well, folks, it is that time. What we've all been waiting for this Friday or Thursday, if you're impatient.
I'm gonna watch it on Sunday.
Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Actually, I'm probably not gonna watch it until like next Thursday.
I am going to watch Barbie tomorrow. You can join. And Oppenheimer in IMAX on Saturday. I think I'm gonna have to wear earplugs. It sounds like it's a very loud movie.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited for both. Honestly, it's a really fun experience.
I am very intrigued by the
Yeah.
Barbie movie. I don't know if I would say I'm excited for it, but I am intrigued by the potential level of subtle gravity that it'll have,
Yeah.
or could have.
Yeah.
So hopefully that delivers. If
Yeah.
I were to watch the movie and they don't deliver on some degree of subtle gravity and like just depth to, that, I'll be pretty fucking mad.
Yeah,
And I'll be
yeah.
very, why the fuck did I watch?
I'll be
this thing?
disappointed, but I have very high hopes because of
Yeah.
who's involved
Right.
in the writing and directing. So yeah,
I have high hopes for Oppenheimer.
I mean, yes.
I'm
But,
sure
like,
that
as
it's-
far as like which one is going to be more surprising, I feel like Barbie has a lot more space to surprise me.
I
than
definitely would
Oppenheimer.
agree with that being
Yeah.
the potential. I'm just going to assume that Oppenheimer is just going to be a fantastic drama. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't see
yeah.
how that would be wrong. Like, I'm sure it's going to be great
Yeah.
from the director and from the cast.
Yeah. Oh,
I
the cast
just-
is insane.
I don't see how it
Apparently,
could miss.
And
if I can say this, apparently Florence Pugh has full nudity in the movie. If you need another reason to go.
all right. Yeah, we can't stop. Like it's like everywhere you go, you see the trailer for Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I am
Yeah.
tired of seeing the trailer. I
Tired
want
of
to see
seeing
it
the
once
trailer.
and then never
Speak-
again.
Yeah.
Speaking of trailers, I know we're a ways out from it, but the new Scorsese film.
Oh my god.
Is it going to be gangsters?
No.
It is not going to be.
It's like a
gangsters.
Western, but not like a normal Western.
It's like a death on
Ooh.
an Indian reservation thing. It's called
Yeah.
like the Killing of the Flower Moon.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh yeah,
That
Killers
The cast
of the
is
Flower
insane.
That sounds
And
fantastic.
It's
Leonardo
led by-
DiCaprio
yeah.
looks like shit in the movie
Yeah. Sounds
intentionally.
fantastic.
Yeah, like
Yes.
it's
Jesse
course.
Plemons,
Okay.
De Niro's in it.
yeah,
of course, De Niro's in it.
yeah.
Yeah, it has 2 trailers out, and they both are like, goosebumps. They're incredible
Oh
trailers.
yeah, they just look amazing.
That sounds great.
Go watch those, definitely. That's coming out in November, I believe.
Okay.
That's after,
Ways away, but the trailer was so good that it was worth mentioning.
Yeah.
yeah. Dune 2 and that, I would say, are
I'm super.
my most
I'm
anticipated movies.
super
for this
excited
year.
about the second installment of Dune.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be
we're
incredible.
a ways away from that one too, right?
Yeah, we got to build hype. It's October, so
Yeah,
Dune will
okay.
be out before the
All right.
Scorsese
What else we got right now that people should go see?
As far as stuff that's still in theaters, Mission Impossible.
I guess we should mention that
Mission Impossible.
in some limited
30.
theaters you might be able to see past lives.
Yes,
still.
and highly recommended. Indiana Jones is fun if you like Indiana Jones. Don't go to it thinking, oh, this movie will win me over. It's like, no, just go if you really like
Yeah,
Indiana
if you
Jones.
like the shtick, if you like the story.
I was assured that it was better than the last Indiana Jones.
It is.
Which
It
the
is,
last
yes.
Indiana Jones, I didn't make it out of the second scene, and I shut it off and have never resumed.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a stretch of acting that just I couldn't get through, and it was one of those things like I just can't do this
That's
right
before
now.
Shia LaBeouf shows up too. That's
No,
insane.
it's when
Oh,
he
it's
shows.
when he
It's,
shows
it's
up.
like there's
Okay,
something
yeah.
with him on a train.
yeah.
And he
yeah,
delivers
yeah.
a line, and I'm just like, no, I can't
Yeah.
do this right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I never came back to it.
yeah. You don't fucking need to.
Yeah,
Really, those movies should have stopped.
I've been
a long
assured
time
that
ago.
this movie is way better than that one.
It is. It's fun. Apparently, Terrifier, the first Terrifier, is going to be playing at least in our town. I don't know if that's everywhere.
That's gonna play here.
Yeah, apparently. I don't know
Surprising.
why. Is it an anniversary or something?
I don't know, but
Is it-
that
is it-
movie's
is it,
trash.
Is it good?
That
I
movie's
asked because you
fucking
went, "Ugh, ugh."
trash.
It's like it's just a real like.
That's the worst.
It's got a clown on it.
That's
or
the
something.
best
horror movie.
example of the worst kind of horror.
Yeah.
It's schlocky, beyond schlocky. It's just fucking gore.
What's that word
porn.
you're using? Schlocky?
Yeah,
Schlocky.
it's actually I wouldn't even fucking give it that word. It's just gore porn bullshit.
It's
Like,
the kind of horror movie. It's
terrible.
like, ooh, aren't we edgy?
Yeah, like
Isn't
this
this
fucking
edgy?
shit.
It's like
Like
the
gross we
Goonies.
can
It's
get.
like
Let's
the
cut a
Goonies
woman in
of
half
horror
through her
movies.
vagina with a
We say
hacksaw.
shit and
We say
Terrifier.
shit in every
Dude,
scene.
that movie is fucking garbage.
Yeah.
Don't go see that movie. There's a million good horror movies out
I'm
there.
very confused why that is playing in Warsaw.
I don't know.
In the middle of July.
I don't know. It's weird, but it's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Somebody told me about the second one. I was talking to somebody about the second one the other day. They're like, "Yeah, I had to see it because apparently somebody like people were vomiting in the movie theater." I'm like, they just said that
Whatever.
shit to get people like you to go watch it. Like, it's bullshit. Like, it's the same dumb, stupid shit. It's the most cliche bad guy. It's a fucking clown. It's the most predictable bullshit. I love horror, and that
Yeah.
is the worst example of horror.
Yeah.
It's
So
just
go see it at your
masturbatory
local
bullshit.
theaters, select theaters.
I do not approve. Alright?
John does not approve. What else we got? Anything else?
Those are I guess since we're not coming back next week, let me see if there's anything coming out next week. Haunted Mansion. Nope. Just go see Barbie and Oppenheimer.
I want to mention they keep trying on that.
We
one.
got two.
They really do. I don't know why.
Disney's like every couple of decades we need to give this another go.
Guys, everyone wants a Haunted Mansion movie. We gotta try again.
We have to.
We haven't
It's
got
for
it
the
right
people.
yet.
Oh, shit.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that might be winning the war on like how can we remake the same bad movie
Yeah.
over and over again. Like sometimes they remake like a good movie and it gets like, okay, well this remake is better than the last one, but it's still not as good as the original.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
no, this
Yeah.
one are just like, yeah, we'll just keep trying until
Yeah.
something sticks. You know?
Yeah. For
Lots
some
of shit
reason.
on that wall. All right.
Yeah, so that's Barbenheimer. Go do it,
Barbenheimer,
folks.
yeah.
All
Back to
right.
back.
So we're nearing the end of episode 8, and now it's time for us to go to John Brown as he
Alright.
tells us what we're looking out for in episode 9.
So I was waffling. I did a lot of waffling on the pick. I was pretty committed after we watched Raise the Red Lantern, and then I thought, oh, maybe this pick would be better because it's kind of a similar film, but with more of a resolution, which would have been kind of a fun exercise for contrast. But it would have been more of the same because we've been on like just the driest shit ever.
Yeah.
So then on that note, thing I wanted to pick, otherwise still a little dry. So I'm like, maybe I'll just completely change it up. But then I settled back on the very first thing because it's something that I really enjoy and that I want you to watch. And there's a tie to it, but with much better resolution. My pick is Ghost in the Shell,
Okay.
the first animated film.
Nice.
All right.
I'm down for that.
Yeah, I am super stoked to watch it again. It's a beautiful animation. It is not at all like with anime as a genre. It's oh man, there's so much fucking weird shit out there, and Japanese humor is so weird. And this was my first exposure to anime as a whole, and it is dissimilar to so much of what people perceive anime to be. It's just a very heady, very intelligent sci-fi action drama that has none of the just cringy, hard to get through tropes that exist in anime. It's just a really awesome animated film
Yeah.
with really heady subject matter, and especially in this day and age, it really tracks for what's going on, what it's talking about.
Awesome.
So
I can't wait.
All right.
That's it.
Sounds good.
For anyone who wants to watch that with us, that's currently streaming on Amazon and the Criterion channel. And is available to buy in all the normal places.
check it out. All right.
Indeed.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week's episode. Join us in 2 weeks for episode 9 when we talk about Ghost in the Shell.
Yep. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Peace out, everyone.